I've kind of thought for a while now that this franchise should have been long dead by now, and after watching this movie, my point is even proven further because this movie is totally absurd. Fast X is the newest entry in the Fast and Furious franchise, and it once again stars Vin Diesel, Jordana Brewster, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, and Jason Statham. And it tells the story of Dom Toretto and his family who are targeted by the vengeful son of drug kingpin Hernan Reyes. Now, when it comes to my overall thoughts on this franchise as a whole, I feel like it's fine. I really like Fast 5, probably the best of them. But then you have the real stinkers of this franchise like Fast and Furious and Too Fast, Too Furious. And I don't really feel like there's enough good that outweighs the bad, so it's kind of like a mixed bag for me as a whole. But I was going into this movie optimistic, hoping that it could be a return to form for the franchise maybe. But unfortunately, Fast X is damn near terrible, and I have so many thoughts on it. Before I get more in depth into those thoughts, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and comment down below what are your thoughts or expectations for Fast X. But let's keep talking about the movie. Now, before I just go crap on this movie, I do want to give massive props to Jason Momoa, who really shines in this movie and is probably the biggest standout here. I do think that his performance saves this movie from being a total disaster. Like, it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. Jason Momoa has really come into his own as an actor where he really thrives on screen in these fun, quirky performances. Where as an actor, he gets to go and just have fun. That's where Jason Momoa really thrives, I feel. He chews up the scenery. He's probably the best villain that this franchise has had, just topping Charlize Theron in my opinion. He truly stands out amongst the rest of the cast because I'm at the point now where I don't really care for any of these characters. I don't even think the performances are all that good. Most of the actors are just phoning it in. And good God, somebody rescue Sung Kang, because he seems miserable in this movie. The other thing I didn't mind about this movie is the subplot between John Cena's character and Leo Abello Perry's character, who plays Little Brian. So Dom and Letty's son, these two characters go on a bit of a road trip in this movie trying to get to Vin Diesel's character. And they share some alright little moments together. They have some fun chemistry. At the end of the day though, did the subplot really need to be in this movie? No. And that's where I'll go into my biggest point, I feel, is the overabundance of characters now in this franchise. It is so funny to me how they continue to bring in familiar faces, famous actors, probably most of the usual actors' friends. They include them in this movie, like Brie Larson is in this movie. You got Daniela Melchior, and even Rita Moreno shows up. And I won't get into specific details about what purpose these actors serve in this movie and the characters that they play because I don't want to spoil it, but basically, all of these new actors, their characters, they have connections to previous characters, and that's how they find a way to include them in this movie. Basically, if you're a familiar face or a popular actor, this franchise is probably going to want you to come in and play a sibling or a parent to one of the existing characters, and then that's just how you fit in. Which is just ridiculous at this point, because then you have to include them all into the story. They each have to have their own little storylines that they go on, and then you have an utter mess of a movie like this one. This movie probably goes to like 20 different locations across the globe, end up in Antarctica, there's some stuff in London, like they basically just go to like a bunch of random spots to meet characters. And then because of that, because you have to have all these little moments of characters progressing the plot forward and finding new and different things, there's not that many sequences where there's a lot of action in this movie. I think there is like 2 big action sequences, and granted, they're like 15, 20 minute, even 30 minute long action sequences, but still, there's like 2 of them in this movie, and that is it. There's a handful of mini sequences here and there, but for a franchise that has now really grown itself to be a big action blockbuster franchise, there's not much action to be seen in this movie. It's also terribly unfunny with cringy dialogue. There's some one-liners that we're kind of used to by now in this franchise, but here it is just hit an all-time low. There's also just weird cameos in this movie. I guess if they couldn't figure out a way to have you included or related to one of the pre-existing characters, you're just going to be included in this movie as some random person that they come across. But instead of being some random character that they come across, all you see is, oh, I know that person. To make cameos work, I feel you actually have to have them serve a purpose in the story. So like if you want to have a familiar face in a movie, that's obviously totally fine. Most actors are familiar faces. But the characters that they're playing have to really like serve a purpose, or else it's just weird and adds to like a little one-off scene that doesn't really stand out amongst this 2.5-hour movie. And that's the thing, I just feel like nothing stands out. except maybe, and I'm really searching for a positive here. Like, I'd hesitate to even say that this is something that I enjoyed about the movie, but the third act, it's bad. But there's one action sequence that is so over the top and ridiculous that you honestly just sit back, relax, and watch fire explode on screen. There's a twist towards the end of this movie that thinks it's so smart and it's totally going to catch the audience by surprise. It doesn't. Like, it is so predictable, and it's a cliche trope that we've seen so many times before that it's like, oh, this completely fell flat. So from nearly top to bottom, this movie is horrible. From the uninteresting story to the uninteresting characters by now, I honestly even call this movie underwhelming. There's a cliffhanger ending just setting up the sequel, and this is supposedly going to be a trilogy to end or cap off this regular saga of movies that we know. And good God, if the next movie is anything like this one, I'm going to be totally checked out of the franchise by the time the following movies come around. I'm going to give Fast X a D. I hope you guys enjoy Fast X more than I did, and if you have seen the movie, let me know your thoughts on it once again down below in the comments. I want to thank you so much for watching this review, and again, if you did enjoy it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as that notification bell so you don't miss any further videos. Look forward to my ranking of the entire Fast and Furious franchise coming very soon, and of course, look forward to other videos coming soon. My name is Ben, people call me Meteor, and I'll see you guys in the next one.